music. Now I understand that's from Midsummer Murders, which can only mean one thing. We've got a little bit more of the novella to go today. Will there be murder? Will there be other intrigue? You'll have to listen and you will find out. So good morning and welcome to Friday. Now in these viral times, the one certainty that we seem to live with is uncertainty. It's difficult to know what's going to happen and when it will happen and who will be allowed or not to do things. Sometimes it seems hard to remember what normality looked like and how we go from where we are now back to that stage. The lockdown arrived and everything changed almost overnight, but the road back to pre-lockdown is proving to be a long and slow one. Here in the Corona bunker, we are continually looking ahead and trying to work out what will happen, when it will happen, and how it will happen. We are putting plans for how we ease from where we are now and what we do now into different patterns. One thing that is for sure is that the normal of pre-lockdown is unlikely to return. So, for example, we have discovered that our current system of sending messages via the viral times is effective and perhaps a better means of communication than printing out Pew News each week. We have virtually no limit on the space and can therefore include all sorts of things. But what do you think? Also, service sheets could be emailed out. In church, they could either be accessed on your own phone or tablet or printed at home in a style and a size that would suit you. And initially, this might be how we need to work anyway. We would be interested to hear your thoughts and ideas on this. There would certainly still be a need to print some copies of both things, but perhaps not so many. Please do get in touch. And in the meantime, sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of your viral times for Friday. We start with drive-through communion. So following yesterday's article about drive-through communion, Sandra Boughton got in touch to say that the story reminded her of the time that she was serving at a weekday communion. The person with the safe keys didn't turn up. The priest asked me to look in the cupboard and see if I could find something we could use. All I could find was a cup and saucer, and so that was what we used. She said that was one of my favourite memories of a lovely priest, and that really is a wonderful story. So thank you for that, Sandra. Now another really lovely story we've entitled The Cat and the Cassock. And it does sound like the name of a pub, but instead we have used this to introduce the video of Dean Robert of Canterbury and his cat Leo. Now Leo decided to gate crash a live service and the video has gone viral. Caroline Plaisted, who worships with us and is secretary to the Friends of Canterbury Cathedral, has sent us a link. So if you haven't yet had a look, do have a look at Leo the cat trying to steal Dean Roberts' thunder. And while we're on the subject of cats, we also have a cartoon that Margaret has sent in, Margaret Roylance has sent in for you. Now, here we have, hot off the press, the June issue of the magazine. It's hit the stores, well, it's hit the bunker and the church porches at least. Copies can be picked up by distributors and eager individuals from the porch at St Michael's or the porch at St Mildred. Anyone who receives a hand-delivered copy of the Viral Times will also find a copy of the magazine as well. So it's here, and look, despite the fact we've got a really good amount of stuff in there, despite the fact that at the moment we haven't really done anything and nothing is going to happen. So thank you to everyone who has contributed something to what looks like a bumper edition of the magazine. It's that hot off the press. I haven't had a chance to read my copy yet. So back to Viral Times, and today we do continue with our alphabet of church life, and we are now in the second half of the alphabet and have reached the letter N. We have concluded that N can stand for nurture. Now, nurture takes place through our worship and learning. Of course, Lent courses, pilgrim retreats, and so on. But nurture should also be part of our ethos and the way in which we relate to one another. We are in the business of building up one another and showing mutual appreciation. So nurture is a very important word in our alphabet. Now the countdown game continues. The first thing to do, and I've put my hands up to this, is to send apologies to those who sent in their answers to both countdown quizzes yesterday. Some of them seemed to go astray and were never to be seen again. They were there and then they weren't in the inbox. So I do apologise if your answers have not been mentioned and if you personally haven't got your little moment of glory, because there was some really good stuff in there. But to today, or yesterday's, fastest out of the blocks was Neil de Villiers with his solution, which was also shared with Cilla Franks and Keith Hammond. They all came up with the same way. Kate and Neil Rawlinson both did different ways to one another and different ways to everybody else, which is wonderful. And Joy Rapley also came up with a solution the same as Kate's. Now, back with the letters and going back a day, one that I did manage to retrieve was from Katie Boughton. She managed to find, I can't believe this, an astonishing 117 words from the set of letters that we gave, and her longest word was sneaked. Okay, now the words that we sent out yesterday produced the longest word, was an 8-letter word, and it was caddises, which the computer doesn't seem to like, but I'm assuming that's got to be doing with caddis flies and more than one of them. I don't know. Anyway, you could have also had the word caddies. You could have had aided, side, aside, acids, cafe. Who's dreaming of being able to go back to a cafe or a coffee shop? The letters for today's countdown are B, E, T, E, A, S, L, G and O. And the numbers today, the target you've got is 369. Can you do that with the numbers 75, 10, 10, 8, 7 and 4? And the real challenge, of course, is to do it against the countdown clock. So you have 30 seconds. Now there's something to try. Okay. Music to your ears. Matthew Nichols has sent the 4th instalment of Matt's Mega Music. It is about time too, because our anticipation here has reached fever pitch. There is a link for you to click onto and you will be transported into the world of the sound of music. Neil Diamond and Pachelbel's Canon blindfolded. This is worth seeing and hearing. Now, the last of these is something that we can all try. And we're suggesting that you send in a video of yourself playing the canon in a blindfold. We could even offer a prize to the musician or musicians whose sound is closest to the original. So if you've got any sort of keyboard, or, you know, you can all arrange your saucepans in order perhaps, and then try blindfolded to play Pachelbel's Canon. Good luck with that, and we'd love to see your videos. Now, there is a link on the Viral Times today to Sunday night's Zoom service, and we hope that as many of you who wish to would join us for that service, and also a close examination of other people's living rooms. The link that you need is on the emailed edition of Viral Times, so please do join us at 6 o'clock. If you remember, place a candle in an obvious position so that you can have that to worship alongside. And do let Lindsay or myself know if you would like us to include any particular people or places in our prayers. If you wish to make an address to the nation sharing news and information, do let us know in advance. Okay, I'll do my own drum roll. here, the next instalment of the novella. I think after today we've actually only got 4 or 5 more instalments, so this really is now fever pitch, edge of your seat stuff. So have another sup of your cup of tea or whatever else it is you're drinking at this time of the day, and here we go. I like a little air of suspense. The following day, when the little cafe opened, Alice and James were the first customers and seated themselves at a corner table. Violet was a little hesitant when she recognised them, but knowing she was obliged to serve them, came up to take their order. 2 coffees, please. When Violet brought them, James asked, "Have you got 5 minutes to answer a couple of questions? The cafe isn't busy yet. Please? I do need to know. I can only spare a second or the mistress will be after me." "Who was or is Edith Alston?" Alice asked. Going pale, Violet's eyes filled with tears. "She was my only sister, only 17 when the rotter seduced her. She, being so young and naive, thought she was in love, but when my parents found out she was pregnant, and although James had married her, he had no intention of settling down, so they threw her out. My parents didn't trust James, as he had extracted money from them, and they wouldn't want his child under their roof. Edith did write to me when she reached London, saying she was staying with an aunt we hadn't seen for some time. Aunt Ethel was kind to Edith and did write to me to let me know Edith had a baby boy and said to say she had died a few days later." "Thank you very much for telling us that sad tale, Violet," said Alice, and rubbed her hand. James mused grandmother's name was Edith. So were she and Edith's aunt the same person? Back at the office of the solicitor, Alice related to her uncle what they had gleaned. "You had better see the contents of your grandmother's letter to me," he told them, and with the letter came a birth certificate. The name of the mother was Edith Homewood, father James Homewood, and the name of the child, James. Now your grandmother thought it was time for you to come and find out about your family in Tenterden, James." "Oh dear, I'm the rotter's child." Well, hold on to your seats, I can't wait. It's going to be really sad when all this is open. So, going on from that, we have from Small Hythe Road, Diana Tyler writes, "Following on from your Barack Obama quotation yesterday, I came across something that caught my eye in a letter to the editor of The Times on the 15th of May on the heated topic of COVID-19 and the return to school, written by Dr. Chris Pyle, head of Lancaster Royal Grammar School, in which he urges caution, starting small and working to build confidence in the new systems. He quotes the words of Antonio Machado, a Spanish poet who was alive between 1875 and 1939. And he said, "There is no path. The path is made by walking." These are real words of wisdom and comfort as we step out into unknown territory. Now to the topic of the current debate still raging over Dominic Cummings' 260-mile round trip north during lockdown. As a Durham lass myself, born and bred, like DC, in the majestic, historic land of the Prince Bishops, she says, "I can totally understand his wanting to make a bolt for it." On that, I think we might all agree. Okay, A Night at the Opera. Now, Neil and Jill de Villiers have used lockdown to set regular dates at the opera. They write, music is indeed something special during lockdown. Opera lovers can access them from Glyndebourne, the Royal Opera House, and the Metropolitan Opera House in New York. Just Google these names and you will get access to free streaming. As the Met ones are available from 7:30 p.m. on the first day to 6:30 p.m. the next day, Eastern Daylight Time, you will be watching them on the next day. We are losing count of the number of operas we have watched during lockdown. We watched The Marriage of Figaro last night from Glyndebourne, and that's still available until Sunday. Such gorgeous music. So thank you, Neil and Jill. What a lovely idea, and hopefully some others of you may be able to enjoy that as well. Now we turn to our feature, The Long Arm of Coincidence. And Christina Laurie has been in touch to share a coincidence with lifelong consequences. In 1996, while living in a small town west of Paris called Triel-sur-Seine, I was introduced for the first time to my Dutch half-brother. Obviously unknown to me, he had been living for a year in the same town with a family that my son knew, as he and the family's daughter were in the same year at the Lycée International. My sister had sought out our Dutch father, whom we had not seen since the ages of 2 and 4. So at the age of 46, I had a new brother, well, 2 in fact, living close by. Christine says, I consider this incredible situation to be perhaps more providence than coincidence. And thank you, Christine. That really is quite a story. Now, our website, www.tenterdenceofe.co.uk, although slightly depleted because lockdown has stopped many regular activities, our website has a wealth of information and pictures for you to look at and enjoy. If you've never had time to sit and simply explore all the links, then please do so while you can. Once we resume activities, the Coming Up section will have so much for you to choose from: sacred, social and Sundays. So do just take a look and a little delve into our website. Now, thought for today is a reading from 2 Corinthians chapter 1, and you will find the reading and the reflection and today's cycle of prayer on your copy of the Viral Times. In addition to that, there is the contact details of Refuge, Helping in Tenterden, and all the usual suspects that you come to know and love. But that's all from me for today, she says in her best newscaster voice. I do hope that you have a wonderful Friday. Enjoy this glorious sunshine, and in the meantime, please do keep safe, keep praying, keep connected, and enjoy the music that is to come. Bye-bye.